Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you so much for joining in. This is a very much an informal, improvised Jodo Shinshu service. Just to be really crystal clear, I'm just an individual. I'm not a formal part of any organization. I just love Amida Buddha, and I love the simple message of Shinrin Shonin. So may this service serve that. So, Rev Josho Adrian Surela and Miss Surlea said that really the essence of this path is, let's see, I don't have the page number handy. Here it is, in page 107 of the book, Josho Shinshu Buddhist Teachings, says that really this is the math, that after we read the 18th vow, this is the message of the 18th vow. Let us consider these words. I'll read this 18th vow. If, when I attain Buddhahood, sentient beings in the lands of the 10 quarters who sincerely and joyfully entrust themselves to me, desire to be born in my land and call on my name, even 10 times, should not be born there, may I not attain perfect enlightenment. Let us consider, and here's what Rev Josho said. Let us consider these words. All sentient beings that entrust to Amida desire to be born in his land and call his name will be born there. Nothing else is needed. No mentioning of merit or things that the practitioner should add to the power of Amida. Just wish to be born in the Pure Land, have faith, and recite the name. So friends, let's do just that. Let's wish to be born in the Pure Land. Let's spend a little time reflecting on that, deepening that desire, wishing to be born in the Pure Land. And then let's entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha, having faith that he can and will deliver us to rebirth in that Western land of bliss. And then let's joyfully, with faith, with the aspiration to be born into his pure land, and having entrusted ourselves, having faith in Amida Buddha, faith that we will be reborn in that land. And let's call on his name. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. So my understanding is that this path is very simple, unbelievably simple. Renouncing of our own efforts, our own attempts to attain enlightenment, and then entrusting ourselves to to Amida. And this is page 17 from that book, Jodo Shinshu Buddhist Teachings. It's called Aspiration to Become a Buddha, the Most Important Matter. The goal of Buddhism is to become a Buddha, not to paint the life in a different color, not to become a smarter or more interesting kind of Buddhist, but rather become a true, fully enlightened Buddha. The Buddhist path is not a method of relaxation or a pill for a headache. In other words, it is not something like, how can we become happier and calmer people? Or a recipe for momentary happiness, but rather a road to Buddhahood, or complete freedom for us and eventually all beings. It is vital for those who enter the Buddhist path to have the aspiration to become a Buddha. Without that aspiration, there is no true Buddhism. If we don't want or we don't feel the urgency to attain complete freedom from the many sufferings of repeated birth, then Buddhism will remain for us only an object of study, an interesting lecture of mythology, or an intellectual delight. There are, so to speak, two visions we can have about himself. I believe it's ourself in the world. It says himself in the world. One is the ordinary vision, dependent on. There's two visions one can have about oneself in the world, and one is the ordinary vision, depending on his cultural education or his daily concerns. The other is dharmic vision. The two visions represent what is considered normal in various times, containing limited explanations of the world and without being interested in the sense of human existence or something which is beyond the life of the here and now. The immediate utilitarianism is fundamental in the non-Dharma vision of the world. On the other hand, the Dharma vision perceives the world and the personal life through the perception of the Buddhist teaching Dharma, where, for example, everything is explained in terms of impermanence, the law of karma. Also, what is truly important is defined in a different way from immediate utility, and the need for freedom is especially emphasized. By reading, listening to, and always reflecting on the explanation and light that the Dharma throws on the world and human existence, one can come to understand why it is necessary to become a Buddha. By engaging more and more in the study of Dharma, you reach the point where you receive what we may call the Dharma vision or Dharma eye. Then many of your mental constructs, which you had considered to be solid and unbreakable, will break down. The world will start to empty itself of the false colors projected on it and be taken as the true reality. Walking the Buddhist path with the aspiration to become a Buddha and having the Dharma vision on your side, you become more intimate with your own karma. That is, you start to know yourself better, and especially your spiritual limitations. This stage, the awareness of your spiritual limitations in comparison with the effort of becoming a Buddha, is extremely important and especially emphasized in Jodo Shinshu. To aspire to become a Buddha is fundamental, but this aspiration remains just as unfulfilled wish, like many others of your personal capacities, cannot lead you to this goal. It is not necessary to become a saint or a special kind of person in order to have the aspiration to become a Buddha. But to be successful in attaining Buddhahood will require effort and spiritual qualities infinitely greater than your ordinary capacities. So, in the moment you realize not only that you cannot attain Buddhahood, but that it is impossible to attain that state through your own power, you are ready to hear the message of the primal vow of Amida Buddha. The message is not sophisticated or hard to understand. Is not a sophisticated or hard to understand one. But the only disadvantage is that ha- the disadvantage it has is that few Buddhists who are nice and full of themselves are truly capable of recognizing their limitations and their incapacity to become a Buddha through their own efforts. Put simply, who is ready to recognize himself as powerless? It is very important to understand that Jodo Shinshu doesn't require people to consider themselves incapable in their daily activities, but only matters of attaining supreme liberation. To become a Buddha is not the same thing as being a good electrician, businessman, or anything else you are in your private life. These are two different things. Walking the path of freedom from birth and death is not a hobby or interesting cultural topic, but rather it is the only meaningful activity in our lives. It means escaping from the endless suffering of birth and death. If this is important to you, then you are indeed a disciple of the Buddha. So let's reflect on all that, hearing it deeply, really taking these words to heart. I'm doing this very spontaneously. And, in hindsight, what we just read and listening on, and hopefully reflecting on a little bit, that's really the foundation. The foundation of the path is the aspiration for Buddhahood and the recognition that we cannot achieve it. So, friends, I think that's all I'm going to share for today. I'd like to thank everyone for watching this video, and I'd like to thank our live viewer. I hope it touched you deeply, and it certainly did me. Let's close with really reflecting on the essence of what we looked at today is the desire for Buddhahood. Actually, I'll read a little more. Thought I was done. Always think I'm done. There's a little more in for inspiration. This is page 22, what Rev Jodo says a Buddha is. The word Buddha means the awakened one. That is, awakened to true reality. He goes beyond birth and death, escaping the chains of karma. His existence in the universe is supreme and beyond our thinking, which is still enslaved by illusion and ignorance. A Buddha has infinite wisdom and infinite compassion, helping sentient beings to break free from birth and death. In Buddhism, the situation is different from a Christian because there isn't a creator god, or ruler, nor a judge. Everything depends on karma. If a Buddha is not a creator, a ruler, or judge, but his existence in the universe is supreme, he is just the awakened one, and he acts as a guide and a savior, capable of true compassion, which is no longer enchained by attachment or the illusion of ordinary beings. Actually, I'll back up and read a little bit from page 21. The state of a human being is limited by various kinds of delusions, so we are mistaken if we say that, for example, that Buddha is a human being. That is because the state he attained is higher than the human state of spiritual evolution. In particular, some Christians accuse Buddhism, saying that its founder is just a human and is thus inferior to Jesus, who was the Son of God. Even some Buddhists say that Buddha was a human being in order to show they don't promote idols or God worshiping. Both methods of speaking about Buddhism are false because although the physical appearance of a Buddha may be human, the state which he attained and in which he dwells is supreme in the whole universe. The ego's unceasing run, led by desires and karma, is followed by suffering. Birth and death does not end until enlightenment or awakening is attained. A Buddha is one who escapes from the maddening run. So, dear friends, let's cultivate our aspiration for Buddhahood and reflect deeply if we really think we can attain it on our own. And if we think we can, then there's lots of other Buddhist paths. And if we come to the conclusion that we can't, then we have the glorious teaching of Shinran to show us the way to become Buddhas. It's the recognition that we cannot attain that. Thank you on our own power. Thank you so much for joining in. I wish you a glorious day of deep listening and deep reflection. And once again, thank you so much for participating. Namo Amida Butsu.